Support for Radio Friends comes from La Brunerie Financial, where they work to ensure a lifetime of financial security for people from all walks of life, from investment services to retirement plans. If you're looking for a trustworthy company that has the experience and knowledge to put your interests first, contact La Brunerie Financial, a community-based investment counseling firm since 1966. Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Monday, April the 4th. We're going to talk about springtime. Nadia Navarrete-Tindall is with us from Lincoln University in Jefferson City. Good to have you here, Nadia.
Yeah, thank you, Paul.
This is your favorite time of the year too, isn't it?
Yeah, actually, my favorite time of the year is when plants are growing, and they could be a little longer than spring, but it's so beautiful in the spring. We have so many flowers coming, and not only the wildflowers, but also the trees.
Right, right. And we're fortunate to have many wildflowers, native plants here. Yes. In central Missouri. Mm-hmm. What I like, now I don't know if they're native or not, but in the forest around my house, I have these little tiny white blooms that come up. I think they're called spring beauties.
And you are right. Those
are they native?
They're native. They're very tiny, and that they can form entire mats of flowers. And so that sounds like you have a real good site because they don't like to compete. If there is an invasive plant, they wouldn't be able to grow.
Yeah, no, we've got a lot of spring beauties, and at times it will look like the floor is carpeted in white. The forest floor is carpeted in white.
Yeah, that is nice.
And then there's little violet ones that come up too.
Yeah, they're violets and spring beauties, and then we have a few others that come in the spring, like for example, celandine poppy is one that has yellow flowers that is very beautiful, and it stays not only in the spring but also through midsummer blooming. Then we have things like bluebells, Virginia bluebells, and there is a diversity of native plants that one can have.
You know, what I find so wonderful is the fact that starting in early spring through late spring into early summer, midsummer, late summer, and fall, the flowers, the different sets of flowers bloom throughout the entire growing season. And you can tell how the season is changing by what flowers are growing in the forest. And it's just so pretty to look at.
Yeah, and then you have to connect it with who is using these flowers. Like, for example, in the very early in the spring, we have bumblebees that are starting out of, that just get out of hibernation. So they are looking for a place to start their nest. So they need flowers early in the spring.
The bumblebees.
The bumblebees. I have seen even as early as like a week ago, I saw some little tiny bees. And of course, there are some non-natives that you can find, like henbit. And those are really, really early, but they are also good for pollinators. And sometimes people get too excited when they see too much of the henbit. Is that the purple ones? You might have them in some areas that are disturbed, maybe in your garden, your vegetable garden, but they just bloom and then they disappear. So they are really good for pollinators in the spring too.
Okay, what about chicory? Is chicory a native plant?
It is not. It was brought by Europeans possibly because they use it to make their own drink, and you can make coffee out of their roots.
Right, but chicory is such a beautiful flower, and it grows along the roadside. Yeah. Is it considered an invasive plant?
It's not invasive, and actually, I'd rather see chicory, even dandelion that is not native, and henbit, and like chickweed that is edible. I rather see those that are non-native. They're non-aggressive, but it's better to see that in a lawn instead of just grass that doesn't provide any food or
and the chicory
protection.
Seems like it thrives on hot, dry conditions because it grows along the roadside And it takes an awful lot of abuse, but it still keeps blooming.
Yeah, and we don't plant chicory. We just let it be because we know that it's always on the roadsides. What we focus on is on the native plants that are usually not found even in dry conditions. For example, with chicory, we would have a few native sunflowers that will grow.
The sunflowers, yeah.
Yeah, and some people like chicory because it's really pretty. And I don't have anything against it, but if I can help it, I'd rather use native plants.
Okay. Now, the sunflowers that are native here, it's not the big, tall, 8-foot tall sunflowers, right?
But the sunflower the scientific name is Helianthus. That one is originated here in this country, in this continent, and then the sunflower has been selected to have different colors. So that is the same sunflower that was originally found here in this continent. But there are other sunflowers, there are different species of sunflowers. So that is something that I want to mention, that because at Lincoln University we have volunteer days, and they are usually on Wednesdays, except for holidays, for example. Okay. But during those times, we can take, people might want to, maybe they're not too familiar with native plants, or they want to know what the difference is between this sunflower or the other. They can come and see what we have growing at Lincoln. We have a native plant outdoor laboratory.
That's every Wednesday?
It's not every Wednesday. They need to contact us, and it's why I prefer that they send me a message at Native Plants and More, or my email at Lincoln, and we can make arrangements with them.
So if somebody listening wants to find out more about native plants, they can contact you at Lincoln University, and just they can call Lincoln University and ask for you. Yeah. And then you can set up a time for them to come down and find out more about the native plants. Can you also help them in propagating native plants?
Yes, and that's the beauty of being a volunteer. Don't feel that you are volunteering to help us. It's just we want to make it like a two-way help, like win-win situation. You help us, and then we give you plants. And we also can teach you.
So if somebody comes down and volunteers, their form of payment is getting native plants for their property.
Yeah, they can dig their own, because we have gardens where we have enough plants to give away. And also we offer classes, and as we have talked about this before, they can just contact us and come as a group if you wanna maybe a class for their own group if they don't have time to come on Wednesdays.
Okay.
So there are different ways to reach us, and we can help you in many ways.
So you can go to facebook.com/native plants and more, and you'll have all the information. Nadia, thank you so much for coming by. And yes, people can contact you at Lincoln University. More information about native plants. If you volunteer, well, they'll even give you native plants to take home and put in your own yard. All right? Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Paul.
All right. See you tomorrow.